All right, welcome back to the garage. Today we're going to finish up these brake lines and move on with our lives. Let's hop to it. Okay, now then, before we do these front two lines, we should probably bolt on these guys here. These are the brackets that hold the hard line to the flexible line, and they use a fitting like this that goes into place here and has a little snap ring that snaps it into place. Let's put those guys on. All right, got the passenger side here bolted on, got the flex line on. I don't have it tied to the caliper because I want to keep this as clean as possible for as long as possible, so I just have this line sitting up here. But you can see how that connects. That's as tight of a bend that my bender can do. As far as a 90 goes, I'm going to play with this a little bit and see if I can't make it fit against the frame there. Okay, I've manipulated this line here so that it makes, kind of a sharp bend and then comes along the frame. It's still a little long right here. I want to throw this inner fender on here and see how it fits up because it may need to be modified. As well as the clips that come with the Wilwood brake line is this little flimsy thing. It's kind of small and shitty. And I got some off Amazon that are a little thicker. I don't know if that'll focus. There we go. These are a little thicker, fits a little bit better, holds that piece on there better. So I like those. Let's see if that works out or if I got to do something different. Okay, I've got that inner fender on there. I don't know if you can see that, but that's how that brake line's setting. I actually bent up another one to get the bends a little bit tighter and a little bit neater. But this is what I've got right now. I don't know if you can see that. There you go. I'll show you what I'm doing over here. Okay, let's see how it looks from this side. If you look right in there, there's that brake line. This is the tighter version that I made. It's a little bit better. I'm still not real happy with it. If we take a look at the original over here, you can see that they've made a bend just right around the frame, just straight 90 into it, doesn't come up. As well as it's tucked in there. It's a lot neater. I like that better. I want to see if I can make that. My bender won't make a bend that tight with the ferrule on there, with the nut on there. It has to be on there in order to make a bend that tight. So I have to pre-flare it. So I've got some practice pieces here. They straighten out pretty nicely in a vise. Put a little wrench on them for some torque and straighten this guy out. I'll try and rebend it and see if I can make a tighter, nicer bend. So I've got the bracket and the adapter off of the driver's side here. I'm going to hold that up here and see how it looks compared to the original. I've taken the bend out of that piece. I think that it'll work okay, like if we can compare these two. The bend's pretty much the same. The new adapter is a lot taller than the old one, so that's what I think is causing me some of the problems and grief here, is just the height of where this nut's going to sit in relation to where this bend is. But if we take a look at what they did, they just kind of angle it across here. And I think I can just kind of do the same thing. And once it bends over this way towards the front of the car, I think it'll clean kind of all of that up. So let's pull this old one off here, measure it up, and start making a mess. I've got a spare piece of this laying around here, so I figured I'd go ahead and flare it, put a nut on it, and try and bend it as tight as I can, see if I can get it a little tighter than that. I'd bent the previous one, and whenever I did, it kind of galled up the inside of the jaws of that guy. So I'm going to put a little piece of air hose on there, see if that maybe protects that and allows me to bend it a little tighter. Let's see what we can do. Actually, I'm going to try and not take the brake line off this guy. I've got my seamstress tape here. I'll go ahead and measure this guy out, cut a piece, and start bending. And if I got to pull it off there, I will, but it's happy where it is. So the remainder of my coil here is just about the length that I need. So I thought I'd be smart and I'd slip the straightener on it. Then I don't have this giant wobbly thing here whenever I go to flare it. Well, just after I complete operation number 1 here, I notice I left the nut off. So let's cut luckily this piece is long enough and cut the end off of it and try again. All right, got that bend there a little bit tighter than the rest of them. I think it's going to work out real good. Let's start fiddling. Okay, I'm getting this piece bent up here. What I did is I made this first bend, and then I got my coat hanger, and I made that same bend so I had a reference point. Then I can make my template over there using that coat hanger, and then I can start making these bends, and as I make the bends, I can start taping the coat hanger to it, and it helps me kind of stay in line. You can see I'm off a little bit there, but I think it'll be just fine. Just got to tweak it a little bit and keep going. Okay, obviously my coat hanger isn't long enough to make the entire run, so what I've done here is just made a tape joint where that ends. So now I can start from there and go on. Okay, then I can take my coat hanger template here, align it where it goes, and then mark the end of it. However, I've got another bend to make before I can mark the end of that guy. So let's mark that and bend that and do this all again. Okay, I got this bend put in it here. I've marked the end of the hanger wire. I can pull this off here, go mark the end of the hanger wire over there, and then start making more hanger wire. Okay, I think before I get too carried away with unbending my template here, I need to take a look at this. This angle needs to come out this way in relation to these angles down here. So I think I want to keep this part of the template made and then just straighten out this end and make it this bend and that bend and the next bend or whatever. That way I've got reference points here that I can work off of for that piece over there, and I don't have to worry about which direction it's rotated. Okay, I was able to make those two bends, that bend there and then that bend there, and that allows me to test fit this in here because that's not running into anything now. I can see it's fitting up here pretty good. I want to see where that steering box is going to sit in relation to this, make sure there's no interference there. I've got this new Borgeson quick ratio steering blocks and some hardware here. I'll bolt this guy up real quick and see how it looks. Okay, here's that power steering box bolted up in here. It's looking real good, except for this bolt right here. I don't know if you see this. Shine some light on the situation. Is running into the steering box housing there, so I'm going to need to shorten that bolt. If we can see on the other side here, you'll see it's still kind of loose, so I may need to trim that bolt a little bit. The brake line's looking good though, all the way in here. It gets a little close right here, but I think with that protective sleeve on it, it'll be just fine. Now, I want to make sure that my coat hanger follows this curve, and then I can make it come up and go over here and back up to the master cylinder. Let's work on that. Here's something I haven't previously thought of, is the rag joint that needs to go on the end of the steering box, connect it to the steering column there. I want to make sure that my brake lines aren't in the way of that. This one here might be, but luckily this is a short line that just runs to the valve down there, so that one will be easy to remake if I need to. But this one here, I want to kind of keep it away from there. I use this green wire to try and figure out how I want to route this before I bend the coat hanger into that shape, and then bend the stainless line into that shape. So, gonna keep fiddling with this and seeing what it looks like. Okay, I use this green wire here to get an idea of what shape that I want it to be. It's really kind of floppy, which makes it easy to bend around into a shape, but to use for an actual template, I use the coat hanger because it's much more robust. So I'm able to bend it into the same shape as that, and then I can test fit it. And to get the end right, I've got just a piece that I've flared here and cut off, and that slides right over the wire. And you can tape that into place and screw that in so you know exactly where it needs to be. And with that, I have made these bends here. I've got it just about sticking up there where it needs to. I've got just a little stinger on here to tell me where this piece needs to fold over to, but it's looking pretty good. Probably on and off here a few more times before it's done. I got to take it off and put the protective sleeving on it. I've gone through and marked where that needs to go. I can pull it off here, measure that, cut that, and slide it on here. Got to make sure I do that before I flare this, otherwise it's going to suck. So let's make sure we do that, and then I've marked how tall it needs to be. I can cut it right there, flare it, and should be perfect. Let's do it. Take this guy here, give it a little snip. Voila! Okay, now that I've got that end cut, I can measure this seamstress tape, put the end where I want it, and just walk my way down the line. There. And my mark is right here. Well, it looks like about 11 inches. So we'll cut a piece of that. Let's see if it fits. I'd say that's pretty perfect. Let's do the other one. Okay, we've got the protective sleeves on. Now it's the moment of truth. We've got to flare the end of it, make sure I've got the proper nut on here. And quick tip, to deburr this, use a drill bit and just get the burr out of there. Works pretty good, fast and easy. So let's, without further ado, flare this baby. This may be awkward as hell, but I'm going to try and film this. There we go. Just like that. She's done. All right, she's on there. She's looking real good. Comes down out of the proportioning valve underneath the clutch master cylinder, down around underneath the steering box, along the subframe there, crossover over there. Let's take a look underneath. Okay, here's the underside. It's looking real good. Might try and bend this out away from the steering box just a little bit right there. But other than that, she's looking pretty spiffy. I might want to change out these clips. These are the original clips that were on the old subframe. I might see if I can't get some new ones and change those up. But other than that, it's looking really good. I just have the one more to do for the driver's side front. Let's work on that. Okay, I'm working on the driver's side front brake line here, and I want to make sure that everything plays nice together and there's no interference. So I put the inner fender on here, inner fender brace. I also put the hoses on the master cylinder for the clutch, both the inlet and the outlet. Make sure that those aren't going to be interfered with any of this stuff. I can clock the inlet for the master cylinder, so I can rotate that around, get it over here out of the way, or point it straight down, kind of however I want to do it. It all depends on where I want to mount that guy. I'm thinking like right here somewhere, but as long as I can move this around, I should be okay. I'm using the green wire to come up out of the proportioning valve and down and around. I'm debating on running this over the top of the clutch master cylinder or running it underneath. I think I like underneath better. I'm going to do a little bit more fit and fiddle on this. I've bent a piece here. This is just kind of a short scrap piece, so I'm going to throw some bends in this guy and see if I can't make it come around here and do something cool. So I'll keep trucking. Okay, I got this scrap piece here bent up. It comes out of the fitting there and comes up and around this steering box here. I'd like to put it behind this master cylinder fitting here, but that's not going to work. It's going to be too busy. I'm going to have a hard time threading that on there. So I think I've got to come down and around and in front of that, just so that I'm out of the way. I've got access into here and no problems. So let's keep fiddling. Okay, here it is rebent to come up over that master cylinder fitting there. I think it's going to work out a bit better. I'm going to keep tinkering with here, and should have this made up pretty soon. While I'm out here fitting stuff together, I figured I'd go ahead and throw this outer fender on here and see how it's fitting up, and maybe get some ideas about where I want to mount that reservoir for the clutch master cylinder. It's just lightly bolted up in here in place. It's looking good. I like it. It gives me a bit of room there. I've got to put the hood hinge on, and for that I've got a sweet little billet unit that I picked up a couple years ago. Throw that on there and see how much room I have to work with after that. Okay, I got that hinge bolted up here. It's awfully busy back in here, and I don't think this reservoir is gonna work there. What I think I want to do is maybe build a bracket and have it sit right about there. Now, I'm not sure where the engine and stuff's gonna sit, but I assume that space there should be free. Yeah, I'll give that a little bit of thought while I finish up this brake line. Quick pro tip on putting an inner fender on and off by yourself. Use vice grips, clamp it here, and clamp it here, and then it'll set in place and you can run the bolts in. Another quick pro tip, use towels over your stuff so you don't ding it up whenever that thing falls on it. Unlike me, I'm a little retroactive here, but pro tip nonetheless. Okay, I'm getting these pieces bent up here. This here's my scrap piece that I'm working on, and then this is the piece that I'm making for real. I've come up to here, and I've got another piece here to make it the rest of the way up to the proportioning valve there. One thing that I'm concerned about is not having enough room to crimp this, or not having enough room to flare this guy with the bend in it. But if I lay it up in here, just like so, I think I might just have enough room for that. So let's go ahead and get this guy bent up and cut to length, and then we'll test fit it and flare it and see what it looks like. Okay, I got that piece cut up and bent into shape. It's fitting in here pretty good. It's a little tight against this brace here, but I think once I flare it, then I can make little adjustments on it there. I also need to put protective sleeve on it. I'll probably go over to this corner right here with that. So let's cut that, throw that on it, then we can flare it, and then we can final fit it. Okay, I've got my piece made here. I put a little bit of a curve into that area there to try and get away from that brace. The way I did that is I took a 3/8 socket. It fits just right over the nut here after I've flared it. And I can use that to bend it without kinking it right there at the nut. It works pretty good. Let's throw it on there and see if she fits. Okay, here's that piece put into place. Screwed in there, comes down there, clipped over here, into there. I'm gonna fix up this clip a little bit. I don't really like that. I've got some washers underneath it because I can't make a tight enough bend right there to work. Same thing over there, but that side has a clip like right there, so it should be fine, but this side here doesn't have a clip, so do something with that. Let's throw this inner fender brace on here and see how close we are around there, okay? Okay, got this brace put back in here, and yeah, you can see I've moved this line away from there. It's looking real good. This one here might be a little bit close. I might, if I can focus, I might put a little bend in that guy to get it away from this brace, just so I've got lots of room for adjustment and wiggle room in here. So let's do that. Okay, I put a little extra bend in this guy here, just manipulated it with my hands, got it out of the way there, then made it where it screws in nice and easy. Yeah, brake lines are done. For the front part anyway. I've still got to go across the back axle, but the parts on the car are all good. I can take this all back apart and put it back in the boxes. Anyway, I'm going to end this video right here. Let me know if you've got any questions, comments, or think I'm doing things completely stupid. Anyway, thanks for watching, and we'll catch you next time. Cheers.